I return in glory. Apparently. This is a completely different replay than anything I've shown before and probably ever will in the future. I'm not even going to pretend that things started out decently, because I'm not even going to pretend that I'm good at playing high mobility tanks such as the Kampfpanzer 70. I absolutely suck with this thing, and I will gladly admit that. I'm a heavy tanker, not a light tanker. However, the replay does get interesting later on, so we'll just have to wait and see for that. As much as I'm normally a heavy tank player, I do quite adore this thing's mobility. I mean, look at this. Oops, I guess I'm already over here. Just lock myself into a nice hold down position to start shooting at some people. And we should be good, right? Yeah, like I said, I'm not good with this thing. Good on that Leopard 2K, by the way. That was a really good shot. However, with the tank that I'm kind of bleh with out of the way, now the actual replay can begin. Was I tabbed out at this moment in time? I might have been. Oh yeah, there's this thing that I do when driving this vehicle, where I just kind of sit here, and because of the fact that right about here-ish, it will show when an air battle is starting, I only actually tab back in when I actually see the little line at the bottom showing, hey, there's about to be an air battle, you'd better wake up. So I think I was just watching YouTube at this moment in time, because that's what you can do in this machine. And as a result, I will do this. Ooh. Something woke me up. Aha. Thing is, I'd like to point out here that while yes, this thing gets radar in realistic, it only ever really does well if you are stupid. I mean, look at that 82. He was flying in a perfectly straight line, despite there being at least one Gepard and... who's that other guy? Is that another Gepard over there? Yep, another flak fencer. There were two Gepards shooting at him and he continued flying in a straight line. He really has no one to blame but himself. You'll see later on in this replay that the vast majority of kills that I get in this thing are actually because people are trying to attack me. Don't do that. Don't fly in a straight line directly at a flak fencer. That applies to realistic just as much as to arcade. See? A simple turn, and then he kept flying in a straight line. I mean, it's kind of like World of Warships at this point. Is it really that difficult to press the A and B keys, or in this case Q and E on your keyboard? To be fair, arcade pilots don't really tend to be as good as realistic pilots because they don't really need to be, because you can just kamikaze non-stop. You don't lose anything if you lose your plane. I do quite enjoy that little ding sound that occurs when a plane loses its wings. In realistic, planes are not nearly as, well, cancerous as they are in arcade, simply because you do have to actually make use of your resources and fly around and expect to survive so that you can then use it again. Whereas in arcade, it's just this one-use thing anyway, so... Again, going in a straight line directly towards the Gepard. They probably didn't see me at that moment in time, but the point still stands. Relative to my position, they would have flown directly overhead, and that's why they died. Side climb people. And of course, while I'm not much of a pilot myself, I am fully aware that this is easier said than done. Especially in realistic, where it's actually more difficult to keep your plane in the air. But even so, this is just ridiculous. Did you hear that? Off on the right there. No, not the other right. Oh? Looks like no one was chasing the Canberra. As loud as jet engines are and as annoying as that is when you're trying to focus on things, you do have to admit it's a really sexy sound. See, this guy's smart. And then he stopped being smart and continued flying in a straight line. The first two bursts he avoided like an absolute pro, started dodging the instant I pulled the trigger. That last one, he didn't. To be fair, he had less time to react, but even so. I honestly don't think that I'm some kind of godly AA player. I just aim at things and fire. A lot of times, as with tank-to-tank combat, deaths are entirely preventable. To be fair, I do tend to shoot at heavier bombers, which, of course, makes things a lot easier in terms of actually hitting them, because they aren't as maneuverable and they're a much larger target. Which is, honestly, I attribute that to a fair bit of my success. It's a lot harder to dodge in a B-57 than, you know, a Venom. See, I'm holding my fire here because if you look at the bottom, I only have, oh, now 74 rounds left. So I'm trying to be cautious. Well, 10 rounds left on the magazine. Can I do anything with that? Apparently not. I am officially out of ammunition, but apparently I hit this guy at one point. And then he either J'd out or something, I don't know. But I got the kill on that. And so here we are. Out of ammo in the flak once again, but not really sure what to do in this situation. I was trying to figure that out. It does seem that our team is starting to capture the A point, which, if I could get there and refill my ammunition, perhaps I could go on another burst of carnage. That might be nice. So let's go try that. Hello, Comrade Kampfpanzer. Please do not. Now, I still, after all that, while I do think that, the Flakpanzer Gepard and such should get radar in realistic battle, because they did actually have radar in real life. Ow. At the same time, I don't think it should be to the same degree as in arcade, because planes aren't as cancerous and realistic, and... Ow. And so on and so forth. So... I could see it being decently balanced if the radar only worked out to, say, a kilometer or 1250 meters instead of the 2.5 kilometers of arcade. However, at the same time, having it be a thing is historically accurate. And Gaijin's all about historical accuracy, as we all know by this point, right? Glances at IS-6, glances at Mouse, glances at T-54, Mod 1947. Anyway, I've been rambling on way too long. I'm also fully willing to admit that I absolutely suck with the Leopard. Having a machine not be completely stock would probably make that considerably better, but I just cannot bring myself to play this thing often enough to grind out mobility, because I drive a Mouse and enjoy it. I don't drive a Leopard and enjoy it. I'm just that kind of player. Anyway, from what I recall, nothing else of particular interest happened in this battle, so... yeah. Now, Devis, as you probably noticed earlier, I'm kind of halfway on your side with the whole radar thing. While I think it should be a thing, I don't think it should be a thing to the degree that it is. Because, let me look at the scoreboard here. 1 magazine, 680 rounds, 9 kills. I will admit that is a bit ridiculous. Save me, Comrade Abrams! Danke. There, at least I can get an assist. Ooh, who beat this? And he's got dirt in the way. Alright, fair enough. Yeah, just... match where I did absolutely horribly in tanks, but just fine in AA. I attribute most of that to the fact that the people were not really making any efforts to avoid being shot down. Ow. To the greatest possible extent, ow. Because I don't have fire extinguishers. But, as you can probably tell, that's that then. See you in the next one.